Sade, what have you done? Ada cried, shaking with fear. Sade stood frozen, her hands trembling. She hadn't planned for this to happen. She was just angry, but now, as she watched Tunde written on the ground, the reality of her actions hit her in the busy streets of Lagos, where yellow dancers honk and traders shout. There lived a young man named Tunde. He was tall, handsome, and always had a smile on his face. Tunde worked as a salesman in a big electronics shop at Computer Village. One day, he met a beautiful girl named Sade. She had bright eyes, a lovely smile, and a laugh that made his heart warm. They started talking, and soon they became a couple. Tunde loved Sade, and Sade loved him too. But there was one problem. Sade was too protective. Whenever Tunde talked to another girl, even if it was just to say good morning, Sade would get angry. If he smiled at a female customer at work, she would frown and ask, "Why are you smiling at her? Do you like her more than me?" At first, Tunde thought it was cute. He would laugh and tell her, "Sade, I love only you." But as time passed, Sade's jealousy became too much. One evening, Tunde was on a call with his cousin, Funke, who lived in Ikorodu. She needed his help with a new phone. Sade saw him talking and assumed it was another girl. She grabbed his phone and shouted, "Who is she? Why are you always talking to other girls?" Tunde sighed. "Sade, she is my cousin." But Sade didn't listen. She started shouting in the middle of the street, causing people to turn and look. Tunde was embarrassed. He decided that night he needed to stay away from Sade for a while. For the next few days, he ignored her calls and didn't visit her. He needed peace, but Sade thought differently. In her mind, Tunde had found another girl. She was furious. One Saturday afternoon, she saw him at a suya stand in Surulere, laughing with his childhood friend, Ada. That was it. Sade's heart burned with jealousy. She ran to Tunde, grabbed his arm, and screamed, "So, this is the girl. You replaced me with her." Tunde pulled away. "Sade, what is wrong with you? Ada is just my friend. Why are you acting like this?" They argued right there on the street. People gathered to watch. Sade's anger grew, and before anyone could stop her, she reached into her bag and threw something at Tunde's face. It was a bottle of liquid she had been carrying, a dangerous chemical. Tunde screamed in pain as his eyes burned. He fell to the ground, shouting for help. The crowd gasped. Some people held Sade back, while others rushed to help Tunde. Everything went dark for him. He could hear voices, but he couldn't see. His world had changed in just one moment. Tunde screamed in pain, crouching his burning face. The crowd gathered around, some pouring water on him, others shouting in confusion. "Sade, what have you done?" Ada cried, shaking with fear. Sade stood frozen, her hands trembling. She hadn't planned for this to happen. She was just angry, but now, as she watched Tunde written on the ground, the reality of her actions hit her like a heavy slap. A good Samaritan helped rush Tunde to the hospital. Doctors and nurses worked quickly, trying to save his eyes, but the damage was too much. The liquid had burned deep. When Tunde woke up, Everything was dark. He blinked, but he couldn't see. Doctor, why is it still dark? His voice was weak. The doctor sighed. I'm sorry, Tunde. The chemical damaged your eyes badly. You have lost your sight. Tunde felt like the ground had swallowed him. He couldn't believe it. Just yesterday, he was a normal young man with a bright future. Now he was blind, all because of Sade's jealousy. Meanwhile, Sade had been arrested. The police took her away, charging her for assault. She cried in the cell, realizing her mistake too late. She had lost Tunde forever. Days turned into weeks. Tunde struggled to adjust to his new life. His family and friends helped him, but it wasn't easy. He could no longer work at the electronic shop. He felt lost, broken. One day, Ada visited him, Tunde, and found a school for the blind. She said gently, they can teach you how to live independently. At first, Tunde refused. He was angry at life, at Sade, at everything. But after much persuasion, he agreed to go. There, he met others like him, people who had lost their sight but refused to give up. Slowly, Tunde learned how to use a walking cane. He learned how to read with his fingers using braille. He even learned how to use the computer. Hope started to return to his heart. Months later, at Sade's trial, she cried as she stood before the judge. I loved him too much. She sobbed. I didn't want to lose him. The judge shook his head. Love is not control, young lady. Love does not harm. She was sentenced to several years in prison. As for Tunde, his life changed, but he didn't let it end. He became a businessman with the help of a trusted manager and assistant running a courier service company. One day, as he sat outside feeling the warm Lagos breeze, he smiled. He had lost his sight, but he had found peace, and this time no one could take it away from him.